Hello artists and welcome to the Academy at Lion Road Art. In this video, I will be demonstrating the process I use to draw a beaver for November's full moon, the beaver moon. As you may see, if you look real closely, I begin by drawing some lines and shapes really lightly on the page, building up the foundation of the beaver. I find it helpful to draw with the side of my pencil, and I find it helpful to hold my pencil in a different way than I would when I was writing. When I'm ready, I can press a little harder and hold the pencil more typically to create darker lines on the page. But before I do any of that, I want to make sure the basic shapes and lines are where I want them and how I want them. From there, I continue to lightly draw inside of each of those shapes, creating all of the lines and forms that I need to make the beaver, adding details in the face, the body, the arms, the legs, everything. Follow along to see the lines I used, and while you're watching, consider how you might try it like me or in your own creative style. Once I am feeling pretty happy with my sketch, I like to grab a kneaded eraser, stretch it out, get it nice and soft and ready, and then I erase most of my picture. I do this not because I hate it, but because I actually want to erase some of the sketchy lines that I needed initially to make my design. The eraser helps me get rid of all that noise and leaves only the faintest lines, like a coloring sheet. That way, when I'm ready, I can take a colored pencil or whatever other drawing material I want to finish my illustration with, and I can fill inside those lines. As you may see, I am using a dark brown colored pencil to create the beaver's fur texture and color. I'm using a technique called hatching, which is really just putting lines next to each other. And I'm doing that in the direction of the fur on the beaver's body, thinking carefully and being mindful about which way those lines would actually lay if it was fur on a real beaver's body. I can start by just lightly making those lines, and then in the areas that I want to be darker, I just press a little harder and add a few more lines. It's quite a process and it does take some time, but if you're willing, you can create a really realistic, textured, and visually dynamic illustration in this style. It's November when I'm making this drawing, and in November, the full moon is named after the beaver because these animals are preparing their dams for winter this time of year. They're gathering mud and sticks and all the things they need to make their homes cozy so that they can endure this long, cold season that's ahead of us. While I'm drawing my beaver and making this illustration, I'm also thinking to myself, how am I making my life, my environment, my home, my space extra cozy? And what am I doing to prepare for winter? What am I keeping? What am I letting go of? All of that is in the back of my mind while I'm mindfully drawing and paying attention to what I'm doing in front of me. When I do this, I can really think about what I want to have happen in the future. It gives me a sense of grounding, a sense of purpose, and ultimately hope. That's what finding art, that's what making art and finding joy is all about. Well, hey, I got yapping and forgot to tell you about another cool technique I used for the beaver's tail. I talked about hatching, but in the tail I actually try something called cross-hatching. Same idea, lines next to each other, but also intersecting with one another. If I do that in the beaver's tail, I can create the texture that's kind of in that waffle pattern that we're used to seeing and expecting. Furthermore, I love to add a good background, and one of my favorite things to do right now is to use a circle stencil to create a negative shaped circle. In this example, it's going to be like the full moon rising behind a beaver. And what I'm doing is I'm using a cream colored pencil to contrast the dark brown. And I'm just letting myself scribble all around that circle so that the paper stands out as like the moon, and this cream color kind of stands out as like, I don't know, maybe the moon's energy or moonbeams radiating out from that celestial form. I don't know. Anyways, we're near the end of our video, and I just want to say thank you for taking a look and learning with me. Try this in your own style. You really might surprise yourself. Anyways, happy making, and always make art and find joy. Take care, artists. Bye.